using social media as a business tool or as a marketing tool, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you use the internet in your creative process. So you guys are kind of towards the end of, you don't have samples yet, but you're towards the end of developing this collection for next week.
Yeah.
How do you guys use the internet or blogs or other kinds of tools online as you're designing?
Well, I think in the beginning, when we first started our company, in the first kind of 3-4 years into it, we always kind of went to the library. Like we always kind of start with a mood and a direction, and then start researching silhouette and whatever else. We'd always go to the image library on 40th and 5th Avenue, and there's like a folder for everything you can possibly imagine. Like little kid shoes in the 1920s, or boats or whatever. After a while, we're like, God, we can find all these images online, plus so much more. And now, literally, we'll spend the first week just Google imaging our faces off.
I would say the best design tools are paper, pencil, and Google.
Yeah.
And that's all you really need to design a collection, for us at least.
Paper, pencil, and Google.
Yeah.
Fashion students, take note. You no longer need libraries, according to Proenza Schouler.
We're not dissing libraries. There's a place for that too. There's something about a book that can never be replaced. That's something for sure.
And when you say you're going online to Google Images, what kinds of websites are you ending up getting your inspiration from?
Well, it's just kind of like a long chain, kind of maze that leads you from one place to another. Not necessarily specific blogs for images, I'd say, but you find something, it leads you to another weird website, you just kind of go along with it, and you just get completely...
I love Google Image, because all these random websites, all these great pictures, and you click on these random pictures, that lead you to a really weird website, that then leads you to something else, and you get lost in this weird kind of series of things you would never have explored on your own. You just, it's just research. It's kind of free-form research. Whatever it is we're researching, there's tons of information about that subject online. And it's just convenient. It's made us really lazy.
Lazy, but you have a lot more access to a lot more information, right?
So much more information.
Yeah. Physically lazy.
I mean, we found that at this picture library we were going to, there's a bit of a glass ceiling. We're like, oh God, I've seen this folder before. Where it's online it's endless.
This audience here, I think, wants to hear a little bit about fashion blogs that you think about. And I thought first I would ask you, when did you first start looking at fashion blogs? What was the first blog you looked at? Do you remember?
I remember, it was a couple years ago, our friend Katie Grand from Love magazine was doing, I think, that story on I think it was Tavi. She was doing that thing in Tavi. And she sent us this link, look at this crazy girl in the middle of America, like wearing comb. And she sent us this link, we're like, what is this? Who is this girl? What is this website? We had no idea what this was. I guess 3-4 years ago, maybe something like that. And I think she's this girl that Katie was talking about was on the cover of Pop. We're like, whoa, what's that? And all of a sudden it was the dawn of bloggers. And I guess, I think everyone sort of realized the force of bloggers kind of simultaneously. Everyone talks to each other in this industry, and you guys are helping making that happen even faster. But I think that was the beginning, and then that led to a million other things. And now we're kind of obsessed.
What about some of the blogs of the more established editors, like Kathy Horn? Do you ever go and look at what's going on there, and how do you think that's changed the way they communicate about fashion?
Well, it's kind of more instant,
Yeah.
Before you'd have to wait 3-4 days sometimes, over a weekend for a review of a show, especially during Fashion Week, whereas now it's kind of instant. Kathy's tweeting about the show while she's at the show. The review usually comes out instantly. So everything's just, you hear about things kind of right away.
I think something really interesting too is when we started, this wasn't such a prevalent thing, and after shows we would only get feedback from the established editors, which is amazing, but we had no feedback from our peers. What do the kids think about the show? What do our friends think about the show? We started when we were 22 or something. And now it's really cool to hear like, what the Kathy Horns of the world have to say, because like, we obviously respect what she has to say. But it's also equally amazing and fascinating for us to hear what the kids have to say. The kids that maybe don't have the fashion history knowledge and who are just reacting from a totally like visceral place. Like that's really cool to us, because that's like just pure emotion. It's it's not overly analyzed sometimes. It's just a really cool thing to get a much wider perspective of your work.
And a lot of your work